Hey, Mike Amundsen here with another screencast around the Design and Build Great Web APIs book. And this one, I want to talk a little bit more about testing. So what I'm going to do is just switch over here to my command window. So you've probably seen this project before. This is a little test project that I keep working on. So let's just take a look at it here real quick. Don't want to worry about seeing the node modules. So this is a little test script. I've got this little Dart library. We'll feature that in some other things along the way. But what I wanted to really do is focus on the testing side today. So we're actually going to move to tests, clear this space out here, and we'll just take a quick look. I really got just a couple of things aside from the README, really focusing on this SRT list and this SRT script. So SRT stands for Simple Request Testing. I like to do a lot of these simple tests while I'm building my app to make sure that it's actually following the rules. I don't necessarily want to spin up a whole Postman experience and do all of that, write all of those, but I do want some simple things that I can start with right away. For example, I'll just show you what this SRT list really looks like. It's really just a set of requests, and I use curl to do this. It's a real straightforward thing. So you can see a list here of just requests. They're actually grouped into two things, happy and sad. The happy ones I expect to return 200. The sad ones I expect to return 400. So I can test some behaviors as well as just the probing the endpoints. But you can see I'm doing a home page, a list, a filter, creating, updating, modifying and deleting, that sort of thing. So I really just build this up, and I just build this as I go. Maybe I build this as I do each endpoint or as I'm testing out a library. So what it amounts to here, again, if I just clear this out, I can just run this little command here. What this command does is actually spin up the NPM edition, the node edition of the file using NPM, and then runs through those requests. So you can see here's the requests that actually run to exercise the basics. There's my root. There's my list, there's my filter, there's my create, there's my edit, there's my patch, and there's my delete, which actually just returns a list again. So I'll just run this lots and lots of times. It's a pretty simple, straightforward thing to do. Now, once I get the basics done, what I really want to do is also, that's the happy path. What I really want to do is also test the sad path. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to go into that list. And you can see I've got all these things that are just labeled happy path. That's the stuff that I expect to happen every single time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to comment those out here for a second. Let's get those off the board for just a moment. And then I'm going to focus on the sad path, or the ones that I expect to return 400. These are all things that I don't expect to happen. Now, in the first one, I just delete my working record to get out of the way. The next one, the post should fail because it's missing an email. The second one should be created. The third one should get rejected because it's an attempt to create a duplicate. The fourth one, I'm trying to actually introduce a field called hat size, which actually doesn't exist in this format. So it should reject that. And then I just try to do a get of a record that doesn't even exist at all. So this is just my chance to test out what I call these sad path items. So I'll just do the same thing. I just run it, spins it up, does a sleep for a few seconds to make sure everything's up and running, and then powers through all of those. So there you go. There's my not found. There's the idea of I ignored my hat size because it's not a valid field. Record already exists. There's my create. There's a missing email because I tried to do an incomplete post. And there's just that delete that does that early step to clean up. So sad path, happy path. This is a great way to actually work your scripts. Now, again, if I just do this SRT list really quick here, you'll see it uses curl, but I don't use a lot of the extra features. I actually use the URL and then the method, and then I could use any other argument in curl that I wanted to. So I might use verbose, I might use debug features, all that kind of stuff, but I kind of leave that alone. There are a couple other things I can do with this little script, however. So one of the things I can do is I can actually send the output to another file. So this will actually send all of the output to an external file. It'll run the same script, but it'll actually pipe the results of all of the requests into another file. So I get this stuff on the top here where I get the error information. But then if I want to, I can take a look at the actual output. So a lot of times I don't really need to see the output. I just want to see those requests. This is especially true on the sad side where I want to get 400s. I want to make sure that those are all actually getting 400'd out the way they should. So that's one way to do it. There's another case where sometimes I need more than just this simple short curl version. What I really want to do is actually just pipe the data out. So I can literally just pipe srt.pipe.txt all of the output. So I'll get none of the feedback. This will all run in the background. It's spinning up, it's waiting, then it runs its series of scripts, and then it's done. And again, I can go ahead and look at that pipe version. And that's sort of like the whole story. So you can see my client request, and then this thing that starts with time is actually what the server parsed on its interface. And then the output is the result on each. So I can test through all of those as well if I want to. So there's lots of possibilities in there. What I'll do is just show you quickly what this actual script looks like, because it's pretty simple. I'm going to go up to the top here. So it just assumes a few things. It assumes that you've got a Node app and NPM running, so that you got a command that actually starts the local API, and then you're using curl. Little magical command here. This actually kills any version of up and running APIs after I exit, which is kind of nice because I'm actually launching a child process. You'll see this after I handle my output files. You can see this right here. I'm actually launching NPM as a child process. That's what that ampersand is on the end. So that'll run in the background so I can run the rest of my script after sleeping. All I really do is ingest that file. That's what this bottom line here, this in file element is. Just ingest that file, and as long as it's not a blank line or a comment line, I process it either directly in curl, or I curl it to and pipe it to the output for later. So this is how I actually process these. You could modify this script. You can use this script as a starter. You can modify it in any way. I just package this up with almost all of my projects as I'm working through the API. So again, it's a great way to just simply run through some scripts, make sure I'm doing okay. I get my constant feedback. When I want to do a real heavy, real API test, I need to test behaviors, then I'll spin up Postman, and we'll do that in another screencast later. So this is Mike with Designing and Building Great APIs. Talk to you later.